Canola contract adds $5.30 at $697.50 per ton, and the January contract gains $5.50 at $710.70 per ton. Support for canola is coming from upticks in Chicago soy oil and Malaysian palm oil. However, European rapeseed is to the downside, along with losses in Chicago soybeans and soy meal. Modest gains in global crude oil prices are spilling over into the vegetable oils. There are more scattered showers in the forecast for the prairies on Friday, with temperatures beginning to moderate towards normal. The Canadian Grain Commission reports producer deliveries of canola for the week ending October 15th exceed 460,000 tons and are higher than those a week ago. At more than 214,000 tons, canola exports are also up on the week, as is domestic usage at nearly 322,000 tons. Later today, Saskatchewan and Alberta will release their respective crop reports, which will likely be their final reports for 2023. The Canadian dollar is gaining ground on Friday morning, with the loonie rising to 73.1 US cents compared to Thursday's close of 72.91. Brazil continues to contend with weather extremes, with dry conditions in its north and center and wet condition in its south, as both play havoc with planting. Argentina remains in drought, which threatens its fledgling wheat crop. Also, Australia's wheat crop will be smaller this year than last, despite recent rains improving conditions. China says that September soybean imports from Brazil of nearly 6.9 million tons are up 23% from a year ago. Rounding off prices at the Chicago Board of Trade, soybean futures are lower on Friday morning. The November contract is down a nickel at $13.11 per bushel. December soy meal loses $2.50 at $420.50 per short ton. But December soy oil gains more than 0.8 of a cent at 53.96 cents per pound. Corn is slightly higher as its December contract bumps up 1.5 cents at 506.5 per bushel. Oats are higher, with its December contract advancing 9 cents at 3.84. The U.S. wheat complex is higher as well, as Chicago December is up 3 cents at 5.97. Kansas City December gains 7 cents at 6.83. And Minneapolis December adds 3.5 cents at 7.42.5. That's a look at the ICE futures and the Chicago markets for Friday morning, October 20th. For MarketsFarm.com in Winnipeg, I'm Glenn Halleck.
A job well done starts with great equipment, and right now, you'll save big on that equipment at Butler. The end-of-year clearance is on now at Butler Farm Equipment, with huge savings on mowers and specials on 100 horsepower plus tractors. Save now and give yourself a big pat on the back next spring. Butler Farm Equipment, decades of delivering great service in the Peace Country. To learn more about their brands, equipment, and the end-of-the-year clearance, see them on Facebook or at butlerfarmequipment.ca.
The opinions expressed during this show do not represent those of this station. If you've missed any of this show, you can follow the podcast at energeticcity.ca. Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Welcome back to the show. Later on, we're going to meet the new CEO of the Fort St. John Association for Community Living, Jordan Soggie. He took over the role at the beginning of last month, so we'll chat a bit about how the Of the Vine fundraiser went this past weekend at the Lido, and a bit about his vision moving forward for the association. But first, the Alaska Highway News and Dawson Creek Mirror published their last papers this week, which leaves the Tumbler Ridgelines as the last newspaper still publishing in the Peace region. To talk a bit about his paper and the state of the newspaper industry going forward, we're joined now by the publisher of the Tumbler Ridgelines, Trent Ernst. Trent, welcome to Moose Talks.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to chat with us today. For people who've never heard of the Tumbler Ridgelines, can you tell us a bit about the paper itself? You know, when you publish, kind of the things you talk about in it?
Okay, well, I would assume that the percentage of people who have never heard of the Tumbler Ridgelines in the world is probably 99.99%. The Tumbler Ridgelines is a Tumbler Ridge newspaper written by people who live in Tumbler Ridge for people who live in Tumbler Ridge. My goal really was to be hyper-local, which is sort of the internet term, meaning that I just write about what things that happen in Tumbler Ridge. So most of the time, it doesn't really affect or influence anybody who lives outside of town. There are exceptions, like this summer when the forest fire was coming towards town. Then a lot of people kind of turned to look to me for the latest updates on what was happening with the fire, or if there's some bigger story about the mine, then people care about what we're doing. But for the most part, or when all the other newspapers shut down, then I'm like the last man standing, and everybody goes and talks to me. But other than that, I write about stuff that affects people in Tumbler Ridge.
And we were kind of chatting beforehand. There was kind of a different paper that was publishing before that kind of went, it stopped publishing because of the death of the former owner or whatever. And then this one sort of took over, to sort of fill that gap of local news, I guess, in Tumbler Ridge, eh?
Yeah. So back in 2000, in the early aughts, basically, a lot of the newspapers, a lot of the larger daily papers started to suffer the effects from. Basically, what they were doing is they were taking all this international news, all this national news, all this provincial news, and sort of bundling up into these papers and then selling it to people, because historically the newspaper has had kind of like if you're from Saskatoon, the Star Phoenix is the only place you could get your news. If you're from Calgary, the Herald is the only place you can get your news. But then this whole internet thing came up, and people started to put the news on the internet. But because it was all national, international, provincial, and a lot of wire stories, or a lot of stuff that was being written about from different perspectives, when newspapers started to try and charge for that information, people would just go, I'll go over here, thanks. So 10 years ago, if you would have asked me, I would have said, the thing is with me, nobody's going to write about the stuff that I do. Like, I care about what happens in Tumbler Ridge. Nobody else is going to write about that. The readership isn't going to go anywhere. And honestly, the readership is still there. The issue is that the advertisers have discovered that they can just advertise on Facebook. They can have their own website. They can go to Instagram, and it's much more immediate, and they develop these relationships with their consumers. And you know what? I don't fault them for that. In my other life, I'm a photographer, and I love being able to do that. So I don't fault them, but it just makes it really tough, because a lot of the money that was there 15 years ago has kind of evaporated. So it becomes really hard. Like, it's not that hard. There's still the news happening. It's just really hard to find a way to make a living writing about it.
And I mean, as you say, you're kind of the only reporter who lives in Tumbler Ridge. If there's something happening like the wildfires, for example, a big national outfit might send somebody. We report on stuff that happens in Tumbler Ridge over at energeticcity.ca, but we're not there most of the time unless, again, something big kind of sends us there, right? So I wonder a bit about...
So
Go ahead, Trent.
Well, I was just going to say, so for instance, the most recent one, there was a new trackway discovered by at the Museum Foundation. So they send out a press release, and so there's a spate of news about the new tracks in Tumbler Ridge, because that's interesting. But when was the last time you saw a news story in even the Dawson Creek Mirror or the Alaska Highway News about the fact that Tumbler Ridge, after I think 7 years of not having a bantam hockey team, has got one this year? Nobody's going to write about that except for me.
Yeah. I just wondered,
Anyways.
Trent, a bit about your journey. I mean, coming to this role, as you said, you're a photographer. Were you like trained as a journalist, and was this something you just said, this is sort of my duty to step up and be a part of making sure that residents of Tumbler Ridge still have a local person telling them about the things that are happening in Tumbler Ridge?
So when I was a wee lad, my goal was actually I wanted to be a novelist. I read Tolkien and Lewis and all these authors, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to tell stories and write books. And so when I got out of high school, I went to um, college, and I stumbled across this program that was called Print Futures, and it was designed to teach you how to do uh, editing for professional settings. It was designed to teach you how to write press releases and teach you how to write for this situation when you're in this situation and when you're in this situation, just a whole bunch of different situations. uh, so I that was my education, but at the same time I was working at the student newspaper, and between the two, I was like, you know, this will give me a really great education because I've got this practical experience, and I've got this, when you go to journalism school, or at least when you used to, they would hand you the CP style guide and say, read this, learn this, eat this, sleep this, breathe this. This is the
Yeah.
only thing you know. Whereas what I was doing was, oh, when you're in this situation, these are the tools you need. When you're in this situation, these are the tools you need. Um, and I really loved that. And I thought, well, this will be great because as soon as I get out of here, I'll be like set for life. But just at that time, there was sort of this glut of writers, and I didn't really get any real job. So I spent 15, 20 years working as a freelancer. So I was
Hmm.
writing stuff for the Vancouver Sun, for Coast newspaper when it existed, for um, all these publications. Uh, and then I had kids, and I was like, okay, well, I need a real job. So I started working, doing a couple things before I finally wound up working for the Tumbler Ridge paper that was here at the time, which was also an independent, locally owned and operated.
Hmm.
And I did that until the owner passed away. And when the owner passed away, you could tell that there was something going wrong with the market. Like it was starting to get bad, but uh, I didn't have anything else I could do in Tumbler Ridge. I mean, despite attempts to change, it's still primarily a coal mining town. There's a lot
Yeah.
of coal, and I'm not really a coal miner, so I sort of did what I knew what to do, which was to write and design and photograph and put out publications. So
Hmm.
here I am. I guess it's now 5 years later, uh, and still doing it. I won't say going strong. Last year, when I got my, when my tax bill came due, I just about couldn't pay it, and this year I'm a little worried that the same will happen. But I'm nothing if not tenacious, or
Hmm.
maybe I just don't see any other path clearly forward. So I take and do what I do.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a bit about the future, in a minute here. But I wanted your take on this because it surprised me personally that, the Alaska Highway News and the Dawson Creek Mirror said we're done, like, completely. Right now, we don't know what's going to happen with their websites, but reporters are now they're looking for new jobs. That everybody's left. Right. They could have kept reporters around and maybe kept going on sort of like a digital edition, right? The website going. And I know Tumbler Ridgelines has a website. That's where I was able to find your information to get in touch with you. But you also publish sort of the paper that gets distributed. So why is it important to you when you could save money by maybe stopping the publication of the physical copy of the news? Why is it important to you that that still happens, that you still reach Tumbler Ridge residents with the physical copy of their news, whatever it happens to be, every week, bi-weekly, that sort of thing?
Yeah. We're bi-weekly, so we publish once every 2 weeks. And the reason why is I don't want to see any barrier to the news for the people who live here.
Hmm.
Um, I could, when I was looking at starting up the paper, I could have decided, well, I'm going to just charge people to buy the paper,
Hmm.
because that way, it's directly supported by the people who read it. The people who get the benefit from it are the people who are paying for it. But I didn't want, Tumbler Ridge has gone through this boom and bust cycle,
Yeah.
and yeah, there have been points in time where Tumbler Ridge has had the highest paid workforce per capita in the entire province. But then there are times when uh, there's been, because of the low cost of housing, um, people from Dawson Creek and Fort St. John have been sending people who don't have jobs to live here even though they might not be able to find work here. And I didn't want there to be a barrier to entry. So I wanted people to be able to, there's a lot of people who don't like reading stuff online. So I wanted to have a physical paper so that they could pick it up, hold it in their hands, read it, and just get the news. So what I've done actually is I've taken and adopted sort of a hybrid model. Is I don't know if you know this website Patreon.com, but
Mm-hmm.
what people can do is they can go there and say, okay, well, I'm going to donate or contribute $1 an issue, or $5 an issue, or $10 an issue, um, and that way that helps keep the paper going. And anybody who donates for more than $3, $3.50 an issue, will actually do home delivery, because that allows me the chance to hire a delivery person
Mm-hmm.
to go out and hand out the paper to people. I wanted to jump back. You were talking about Alaska Highway News and the closure there. See, here's kind of what happened there. Ma Murray was sort of this strong figure on the landscape of media, and she kind of started out as an independent, right? She built the Alaska Highway News. She created this sort of news. We won't call it an empire because it is the Peace Region, but this really strong paper. And as time went on, there started to become these conglomerates who would go out and say, "Oh, hey, let's buy this paper and this paper and this paper."
Mm-hmm.
And the trouble is, when that happens, they don't have that connection to the local community. So if it was still, Ma Murray in Fort St., running the Alaska Highway News, there is not a chance that that newspaper would be shutting down. But because it's being run by, some corporate dude who lives 5,000 kilometers away, they don't have, all they can look at is the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, well, we're not making enough money, so we're going to shut this down here. So for me, it's not that I'm doing anything better. It's just that I'm more tenacious. I'm more, I'm going to, I don't have anything else that I can do, really. So I'm just going to keep doing what I can do until I can't afford to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Rob Brown in Dawson Creek, at least, he's saying that he'll be darned if the paper just goes under. So he's looking at starting up a paper in Dawson Creek just to pick up where the Mirror left off. And that, to me, is, I mean, it's sad to see the money sort of leaving the industry, but it's people like that who are going to commit to local news, who care about the community. Those are the people who are going to make a difference moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I've got one more quick question for you, Trent, and then I got to let you go. And you've already touched on it. Given the closure of the Alaska Highway News, the Dawson Creek Mirror, what have you heard from, some of your readers, some people who like the Tumbler Ridgelines, and even just your own perspective on your concern for the future of the Tumbler Ridgelines? And again, as I say, sort of the print version of it, given that you're now kind of the last man standing, as it were, in this. You say you're going to keep it going kind of as long as you can. Do you think this can keep going for a long time? I just wanted kind of your final thoughts on that.
Oh, that's a tough question. If things keep going the way they're going, there's not much of a future. There are ways to change the industry. In 2020, actually, I was sort of waiting around for this when I was starting up, but the government of Canada changed the Newspaper Act to allow newspapers to function as nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if you were to say donate $10,000 to keep the Tumbler Ridgelines going, I would be able to write a tax receipt. You could use it as a tax write-off.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the process of doing that is highly convoluted. And last I checked, there might have been like 1 or 2 newspapers that had actually got through the process, jumped through all the hoops to be able to do that. But in the States, there is this system there where there are these entities that are willing to donate money to newspapers that support the newspapers, things like the Poynter Institute, that have this pile of money that they are using to support journalism. Canada doesn't have that. If we can get to a point where we have a system like that or something similar, it'll bode well for newspapers. But right now we're kind of in that the old is passing away and the new, I don't know if we've quite got there yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, Trent, I really appreciate your perspective on this, and I wish you continued good luck on your paper. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to contribute, patreon.com/Tumbler Ridgelines.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trent. That was Trent Ernst, the publisher of the Tumbler Ridgelines newspaper in Tumbler Ridge. We'll be right back to talk to and meet, I suppose, Jordan Soggie, the CEO of the Fort St. John Association for Community Living, right after this on Moose Talks.
Hi, this is Dan Holtman, General Manager at Murray GM. If you've driven by Murray GM lately, you'll notice things are starting to fill up again. This is the most inventory we've had in the past 3 years. Plan your next road trip in luxury with the Chevrolet Tahoe, Suburban, or Yukon Denali. Available and in stock now at Murray GM. Half-ton trucks are back as well. Murray GM has a great selection of Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierras. Not to mention 0.99 financing on all half-ton Sierra and Silverado. Inventory is back and available now at murraygmc.com.
And now it's time for
Is That Legal?
Brought to you by Collison Zunert Law Corporation. On this episode, Flipping the Bird.
Recently, a judge in Quebec declared that flipping the bird, so to speak, is a God-given right that belongs to all Canadians, and the judge acquitted a Montreal area man of criminal harassment and uttering threats. The case was about two neighbors who exchanged insults and swear words over several weeks. While giving someone the finger may be an exercise of your freedom of expression, it's not the Canadian way, and you should find a more grown-up way to settle disputes.
This is not intended to be legal advice. How the law applies depends on the facts of each case. Do not get your legal advice from the radio.
100.1 Moose FM is looking for someone to join our team. We're looking for a part-time weekend winter cruiser host. This person will be responsible for driving around the North Peace and attending events, festivals, creating your own schedule, giving away prizes, and most importantly, having fun. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, visit moosefm.ca/careers for more information or to apply. The Backcountry Winter Cruiser is also brought to you by Murray GM, the Fort St. John Co-op, the historic Red Barn Pub and Grill, FSJ Return It, and Windsor Plywood.
A big part of Petron is the guys in our installations department. You might think we just install two-way radios and cell phone boosters. We do install those, and we do a great job. But what you probably didn't know is we also sell and install all types of LED and amber lighting, GPS systems. We are an authorized GeoTab and GeoTrack installer, as well as an exclusive GeoForce partner. Ask us how to track any of your equipment via satellite for just $10 per month. Our name is Petron. Come down and see Cameron and the boys. You'll be impressed with what they can do.
November 22nd, one night only at the Ovintiv Event Center in Dawson Creek. A special night of classic hits and holiday favorites for the entire family. Don't miss Boney M Live, featuring original lead singer Liz Mitchell.
By the rivers of
Boney M at the Ovintiv Event Center. Tickets on sale now at the Ovintiv Event Center box office or by phone at 250-782-7443 or online at DawsonCreekEventCenter.com.
Brad's Furniture and Appliances Hit the Mark is back. Listen weekdays from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for your chance to win cold, hard cash. All you have to do is guess a number from 1 to 100. If you get it right, you win the money. If not, we'll add another $10 to the pot. Track the numbers at moosefm.ca/win to zero in on the money. Brad's Furniture and Appliances Hit the Mark is brought to you by Rhythm Auctions, MNP Licensed Insolvency Trustee, and FSJ Return It. Watch this show live on Facebook or download the podcast at energeticcity.ca.
Welcome back to the show. Now we're here to meet the new CEO of the Fort St. John Association for Community Living. They're coming off the big fundraiser of the Vine that happened at the Lido last week, and the national excuse me, I don't have it in front of me here. The National Disability Employment Awareness Month also just wrapped up. So talk a bit about that and, of course, his vision moving forward with the association. We're joined now by Jordan Soggie. Jordan, welcome to Moose Talks.
Thanks, Dub.
I've been calling you Justin and mixing up your name all day, so I got it right
it's all
this
good.
time.
We're even because I'm usually calling you Doug, so we're good.
Very nice to meet you. I thought we'd start with you telling us a bit about yourself and kind of your journey to becoming the CEO of the association.
For sure. Well, we just moved here from Saskatchewan, flat land.
A little different here.
A little different here. Yeah, we like the trees. We're liking the trees and the hills. But before working with the association, I worked for the government of Saskatchewan in housing and creating programs and opportunities for people with disabilities or low incomes or just marginalized populations in accessing housing. And always have had a passion and for care and quality of care. And when I was approached about the opportunity at the association, it was just a clear, very easy decision to come up here. We love the community here. We love the investment into the community and in giving back, and what the association stands for. It's an easy decision to be here. So yeah.
Well, we'll talk a bit about kind of the Vine, because that was kind of the first big kind of fundraising, I suppose, event you've been here for. It sounds like it went really good. I was talking to Brian from the Lido earlier this week, and he said it seemed like a very successful evening for you.
No, it blew me away. I was humbled just to be there. It was a great night of food, wine, and some generous giving by community members. We have an unreal amount of sponsors for that event. We had DGS Astor Paving, we had Canadian Tire, Bold Promotions, AAA Safety, Carter's Jewelry, and of course the Lido in making the event what it is with the space that they have. It's a beautiful space. And all the other community partners there, we raised over an estimated $60,000.
Amazing.
Yeah, it just blew me away to see. It really showcases the dedication to unity in this community, and we're very grateful for all the sponsors.
Do you have like that $60,000 earmarked for something specific that you're going to use it for? Or is it kind of just general?
Well, no, we're going to be using those funds to fill the gaps in services. So there's a lot of services that are not funded by our government, and there's areas that people fall through the cracks. And so the dollars raised from these events are going to help us in meeting the needs of the individuals, meeting the needs of families, providing services that they would otherwise not have access to. So, it's great to see the community's on board with us to fill those gaps.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the big things the association tries to do is there's only so far, as you say, the government will go in helping kind of your clients, but then you try to attempt to let's fill that gap, as you say, right? What are some of those things, for example, if you don't mind me asking, that you find the government help stops here, we need to do this in order to make the situation better for people? Right.
Well, sometimes they're only given a certain amount of time to access services, and sometimes they need more than what they're allotted, so we are going to be utilizing it for that. Sometimes individuals need special equipment to be able to communicate that they're not funded for, like if someone's nonverbal. We can use that money to get them a tablet and some software so that they can communicate with us and they can tell us what they want and need. Another area that we're seeing a great need in is respite services in our community for families. And so we're spending some time and some money on investing in looking into that and how could we fill that gap for our community. There's lots of gaps that we're looking at, but it's going to be whatever we do, it's going to be based on what our individuals need and our families need.
Now, as I said, a National Disability Employment Awareness Month just wrapped up. I believe the city sort of did a declaration for it as well. These sort of awareness campaigns, like a National Day, month, whatnot, how important do you think they are to help the association and the clients you serve in sort of raising awareness and beyond?
I think they're huge. We have a lot of work left to do in order to help people gain access to employment and remove the stigmas around people with disabilities having meaningful employment. And we have a lot of champions in this community, and we really need to showcase those champions so that other people can see that, oh, that's not true. They are able to meet this need, or they are able to do this work, and they can provide a benefit that greater than what I expected. And just the city alone, one of our individuals that we support has gotten her first a union position, which is the first, I believe, in the province.
Fantastic.
And it's the Fort St. John City.
Wow.
that provided that. So I think we just really need to celebrate the inclusivity of our community. It's a strong, strong community.
Mm-hmm. So coming kind of where you're from in Saskatchewan, that must have been one of the things you saw here. You're like, people are very willing to be open about hiring, people with disabilities and working with us and whatnot. However, it can always be better. We can always make situations better for everyone. So I wonder going forward then, you've only been on the job a month, but you're starting to sort of see how things are here and just in general, what do you see as your role in the association and what you can be doing, planning for kind of as you move forward in helping clients and more people make things better for everybody?
Mm-hmm. Well, like you said, it's been a short period of time. We're still in the honeymoon phase, getting to know everybody, but I really believe in servant leadership. I've been spending a lot of my time. I have a goal of meeting with every individual and every staff person that works at the association and take them out for coffee and hearing from them, what do we need? How can we meet that need? And what can we do better? And so I'm still doing that, still working through that. But, my focus is going to be on quality of care and on meeting the needs of the individuals and their families. That's really my focus, and I'm going to do that by being as available as possible.
All right. Well, Jordan, I really appreciate you taking time for this. This happened like this morning. We finally were able to make this work. So I appreciate you coming down last minute. And I hope this is one of many conversations we have on this show going forward. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Deb.
All right. That's Jordan Soggie, the CEO of the Fort St. John Association for Community Living. We'll be right back to wrap things up on Moose Talks right after this.
Jandel Homes will never sell a home at a deeper discount than right now. That's because, well, we're kind of screwed. Jandel Homes Show Home Clearance is on now. We are grossly overstocked on brand new homes for immediate delivery. You'll save thousands, guaranteed. Honestly, just make us a ridiculous offer and we'll probably say, oh, you're killing me, but yeah, sure, we'll take it. Jandel Homes is considering all options at our Show Home Clearance sale. Come take advantage of us today because Jandel Homes is pretty desperate.
Hey, little sis, what's new?
Just started a new job. I love it.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
I am now a BC Correctional Officer.
But you're tiny.
Dude, it's nothing like TV. The job is about communication, conflict resolution, and empathy, all of which I have, and I'm awesome at. Also, it's a stable government job with competitive salary, fantastic pension plan, and benefit package.
Well, that sounds awesome. Congratulations.
BC Corrections is actively hiring now. Be a role model. Be a peace officer. Join BC Corrections and create change in your community. Search us online and apply today.
Win a Traeger barbecue from Arctic Spas Fort St. John. To celebrate 25 years in business, Arctic Spas has some customer appreciation draws and specials on now until November 4th. Stop in for in-store specials on hot tub supplies, Traeger barbecue supplies, games, darts, and more. Plus enterprise draws including a draw for a $5.75 barbecue. Arctic Spas Fort St. John, family owned and operated on 100th Street and celebrating 25 years in business. Visit ArcticHotTubsFortSt.John.com. In-store purchase required to enter.
Winter is on its way and Pro North Heating's parts store is ready. With the largest selection of in-stock OEM and universal parts in Canada, Pro North Heating stocks parts for over 40 brands of the most popular furnaces, boilers, and garage heaters. Recently added brands include York, Lars, Napoleon, and Raypak. Shop in-store and enter for their monthly giveaway. They will be open Saturdays 8 to 12. Shop online and pick up in-store on Old Fort Road. To see their full inventory, visit ProNorthHeating.com.
RE/MAX Action Realty celebrated its 30th year in the Peace Country this summer.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We are just as humbled to be a part of so many families' moves today as we were back then. At RE/MAX, we believe the best advice is the advice of a market professional with decades of experience in this market. Go ahead, ask us anything. Whether you were buying because you need more space or less, or selling for so many different reasons. Call your RE/MAX professional today at 250-785-5520.
You're shopping around for an automobile. Come see Fort City Chrysler. You're trying to find the very best deal.
Looking for a fine pre-owned vehicle? Fort City Chrysler has cars, trucks, minivans, and SUVs, four-wheel drive pickups, and diesels too. Many with remaining factory warranty. And they're all quality inspected and ready to go. At Fort City Chrysler, you're buying from your hometown dealer. No pressure, no hassles, just honesty and integrity. Only at Fort City Chrysler. Only in Fort St. John.
Warm up with a hot drink season is definitely here, and Peaceful Pages invites you to stop by their specialty coffee shop with a seating area and enjoy a good book while you sip a coffee, mocha, or pumpkin spice latte. Peaceful Pages Christian Bookstore on 101 Avenue in Fort St. John.
Moose Country weather.
Today, you can expect a high of 12 degrees, mainly sunny skies. Now, later tonight, it's going to dip down to -1. Saturday, high of 5 degrees with a chance of showers and a mix of sun and clouds. And on Sunday, -4, periods of snow.
Our community first. This is Moose Talks with Dub Craig on Moose FM.
My thanks to our guests Trent Ernst and Jordan Soggie for joining us today. Make sure you stay up to date every morning with local news delivered straight to your inbox. You can sign up for the energeticcity.ca newsletter right now at energeticcity.ca/newsletters. You can also keep up on local municipal government politics with our Peace Politics newsletter, which publishes bi-weekly. And then you can also sign up for our events newsletter, which lets you know about all the cool things happening around Fort St. John. That goes out once a week. Again, you can sign up now at energeticcity.ca/newsletters. Well, that's our show for today. Jordan Prentice and Trey Lopashinsky are the producers of Moose Talks. I'm Dub Craig. Be well.
Join us next Friday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Moose Talks, a weekly talk show about Fort St. John and the North Peace. Embrace